this thing, but I guess I have to be recorded. So hi everybody, I'm Mabe. I love the Butcher's Son. Anybody been there? That place is just consistently really good. I don't know, for a steak restaurant, I just think that's awesome. There's so many though, so many restaurants that are amazing in this area. We're pretty lucky, I think. But yeah, sorry, that was a yell. I have never had one of these before, so thank you, Lori, for inviting me. We've been friends for, oh my gosh, long time.
Long
Yeah.
time.
And I've been selling payroll, I can't believe it, for 26 years, almost 26 years, 26 years in November. I think it's November, somewhere, a long time. So I am a salesperson, I know enough to be dangerous, and I want to talk today about some HR questions that come up a lot of times for companies, and that's why I have this website up here. When you sign up with our service, this is a free website. We also have an HR company that's tied in with this. They're based in California, and I always say that's because where all the crazy laws are. You got to have those California people out there, but they work with every state in the country. So if we have a client that, wants that service, it's called HR on Demand, they've got access to call and talk or email to an HR certified person all the time. So it's really helpful. I also did just print out some stuff if you guys want a couple of these flyers, minimum wage. Of course, everybody knows what happened in January. This poster, this should be put next to your poster, your labor law poster if you don't have a new one. So take one of those if you want it. This is just a 2023 tax law change update. And then I've got a couple other things if you're getting ready to hire your 50th employee, what laws you have to consider, and some HR tools, and there's a couple other things if you want those flyers.
Thank you.
But yeah, I've been with Payday going on 10 years, and before that I worked for a national payroll company, and who just asked me, Owen just asked me, what's the difference in Payday and, all these other national companies? There are a lot of companies out there that process payroll. They all do a good job. What sets us apart is if you call my office and you need help, we pick up the phone and we answer. And it's so unusual nowadays. Companies don't do that. I'm sure your guys' companies all do, because us as small businesses, that's what keeps us, different from everybody else, I feel like. So I absolutely love my company. Our customer service is top notch. I never have complaints. My old company I worked for, constantly people were calling me about some issue with their payroll, which I didn't have anything to do with, but because they had my cell phone, which is fine, my cell phone's in my card and its bags, they called me all the time. Nobody ever calls me to complain, which is so cool. I love it. But I did kind of want to ask some questions for everybody as you're eating, and I've got some lottery tickets for people that answer. They're only $1, because I didn't have a whole lot of money this morning, but you never know. I think some of these you can win $5,000, so that would be pretty awesome. So we can do that. So I'm going to kind of go through some of these questions that I pulled off of our HR website. I actually get an email from them like once a week with a lot of these questions. So if anybody wants me to sign them up, you don't have to sign up for our service. But you want to get these emails from me, just send me an email after this, and I'll be glad to set them up for you. That's one thing I love about Payday, and even though I'm a salesperson, I'm very low key. If you don't need my service, that's okay. I'm not ever going to force anybody to use the service that I think is wonderful. If you need help, great. So that's kind of how we are. But so first question, do we have to get permission to run a background check? Anybody know?
Yes.
Yes. I know, I saw that. Yes. Yeah, so the short answer is yes. The Fair Credit Reporting Act requires you to get permission from the applicant or employee before conducting background checks. That was one thing that I didn't realize, that you had to get them to say, yes, I will, I'll have a background check done. But
One part of that is when they let you do it, they know you do background checks, and they're like, yeah, sure. And comes back, they killed 4 people, and
Yeah.
Like, did you not think that was
Yeah.
like, why did you waste our money? That's always fun.
Well, yeah, and I would think for you, Chuck, especially in your type of industry, not that that means that that's the type of people you get, but, you know, I think sometime in the trades, you might get some of the, maybe not killing people, but maybe stealing. I don't know, who knows?
Oh,
They apply, I just don't
Yeah.
hire them.
second
Yeah.
chance industry. The shipyard is a huge
Yes.
second chance industry. Yes, ma'am.
Which I think is important, you know,
It's
if you
very
paid your
important.
dues, why should you not be allowed to get a job? You know, I agree with that. Can we do reference checks for only certain roles in a company? The answer is, yes, as long as you're not discriminating based on protected classes. So you can set up certain departments and, you know, screen for, you know, let's say you've got, you know, supervisors that have access to information that has to do with people's pay. You could do reference checks on them, but maybe not the rest of the staff. So all of these questions that I get like once a week, I didn't know hardly any of these answers. So, I mean, I think that's important. Again, I'm a salesperson, I don't run my company, but you know, it's nice that there are other companies out there that can help you with stuff. And HR seems to be such a big issue nowadays.
Yes.
You know, I mean, people
I
have
became
got-
the HR department because we had a problem and all of a sudden, well, who's in charge of that? Well,
Yeah.
you are, okay.
Well, and I don't know, it seems like we have a lot more issues than from what I remember. I don't know why people are so angry, I can't figure that one out, but, you know, that's beside the point. So, we have a repeat applicant who we offered a job to in the past, but they failed the drug test. Can we reject them now based on a past drug screening? No. All right, well, I'll give you a ticket this time. Yeah, so chances are rejecting the applicant based on a previous drug screening would violate the American with Disabilities Act. You know, you don't know their history, they might be, you know, in, is it rehab? I don't know, I guess.
They could have gone to rehab and
Yeah,
gotten better.
something like that and gotten better, so no, you can't discriminate against them or reject them. Can we require remote employees to inform us when they move to a new city or state? Yes. Look, all right, they're not getting all
You don't
these,
have to-
somebody else say yes or no. So does anybody, I mean, since you do payroll, you probably could relate to that, but why
I
would?
also used to work from home, and that was one of the main things on there, is that you had to, you moved to a different location or even moved housing or anything, you had to let them know.
Yeah.
So they could approve it.
And also, let's say I live in Virginia, but now I've moved, my husband got transferred and I moved to Florida. Well, there's different state laws. They don't have state withholding in Florida. So if I'm having taxes withheld in Virginia and I move to Florida permanently, I don't wanna have taxes withheld in Florida anymore, you know, well, they don't do it anyway. And then unemployment is gonna be different. So you'd have to apply for a new, or the payroll department would apply for a new unemployment rate for Florida, which could be higher, could be lower. So you might pay more tax or less tax.
And workers' comp has to be
Yep,
updated.
workers' comp, all of that kind of stuff, yeah.
But I thought also that was where the work was being done. So if you have a contract in Kentucky, they're withholding Kentucky taxes even though you're not a resident of Kentucky. I am correct when I say that?
Yeah, different law, each state is different, so I always recommend call the state. Typically, unemployment follows where the business is located, so like if I have employees that live in North Carolina, we would do typically Virginia withholding and Virginia unemployment. And then when the employee files their taxes, when they live in North Carolina, they would get a refund back from the state of Virginia, and then they would pay the North Carolina taxes. But different states have reciprocal agreements where Virginia and North Carolina, they don't. That's why Virginia wants the withholding tax. North Carolina does too. But different states have reciprocal agreements that you can, have taxes withheld in different states. Can we require exempt salaried employees to turn in timesheets?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I see that a lot, mostly in the nonprofit realm. So my company works with a lot of nonprofits and they're tracking grants. Why? I have 20. You can have one. If you win, you have to give the money back. You have to donate
Split
the
it,
money,
50-50.
donate the money to somebody. Yeah.
50/50,
I'll donate
I
my
want
wings
cash.
to the her shelter.
Oh, there you go. That works. We got a whole bag of stuff going to the her shelter, by the way.
Actually,
Yeah. And it's Mardi Gras, right? So I'm gonna decorate a big box of Mardi Gras stuff and I'm delivering it. Yeah. I don't know what we got, what we ordered, but Lori's on the board for the her shelter and we do their payroll. So same thing, I think I was telling you, Chuck. Anytime I get off on tangents, so I apologize. A client of ours that's a nonprofit says, hey, can you sponsor, can you donate, can you come out to visit, any of that stuff, we always do it, you know, if we can. So I think that's important. I know Chuck, your company does that too. Yep. All right, so, yeah, a couple reasons that you'd want to track hours would be, you know, for grants, or if you need for client billing. A lot of times people will track hours. You can't cut their pay though, so if, let's say, I only work 30 hours this week, and I'm an exempt salaried employee. Now, you can have non-exempt salaried employees too, but exempt, I'm exempt from overtime. You can't cut my pay, even though I work less hours. All right, so here's another, boy, my vision's getting bad.
don't you hate that?
Oh, it's terrible, but let me tell, I gotta tell you this too, on a side note, did anybody heard of Warby Parker for glasses? Oh my
Are they worth
gosh,
it?
yes. So, I just ordered new glasses, they were supposed to be here yesterday, but they didn't show up, so I'm hoping they're coming today. $2.99 for bifocals. And then, depending on your vision insurance, if you have insurance, you can get a rebate on that. So like my vision insurance at work, they'll reimburse me $150. So my prescription bifocals, instead of $700 from my doctor, is gonna cost me $150. I was like, wow. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
So check that out. All right, well, let me get back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. All right. Can we terminate a salaried exempt employee early in the week? If we terminate somebody, do we have to pay them?
Good question.
Yes.
No. So the only time you can not pay them for that whole week is their first week of employment or their last week of employment. That was another thing that I didn't know. So a salaried exempt employee, you don't have to pay them for that. If they're terminated on Monday and they're supposed to work the whole week, you only have to pay them for that one day.
I like that rule.
Yeah. But you, let me see, what else does it say? Yeah, it does say this deduction is allowed under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Another question I did not know. So what is at-will employment? And does that mean we can fire an employee for any reason?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, all right, I've got a couple.
You're still gonna pay unemployment. because
Yeah,
you just
that
need
is
that
true,
money.
that is true. I do tell people though, clients of mine, you know, if they're getting ready to terminate somebody, make sure you document it. Or if somebody quits, get a letter from them. That seems to be the only way that the unemployment office is not gonna, you know, say that you have to pay. But, so many people just quit the job
And walk away.
and what, yeah, so,
I had one, she came in, she worked for a week. And Kellen was going on vacation, Kellen was at a different position then. So I talked to her every day, everything good, yep, I like it. Friday she left, everything was good. Monday, she was a no-show, she wouldn't answer her phone, she wouldn't respond by email, she never showed back up.
oh wow. Did unemployment come after you?
No,
Oh, that's good.
but what are you supposed to do when they just don't show up?
And then
Just
claim
document it.
unemployment.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm lucky
Yeah.
she didn't, but it was just, I mean, it's just so odd to me that people just quit. I can't handle it.
yeah, I can't. I don't understand that
I don't
either. It doesn't make
understand.
any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or get hired and not show up.
Or don't bother to come to the interview at all.
Yeah, yeah. That happens all the time, doesn't it? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, the unemployment, so if you have an employee like that, and let's say she went to collect unemployment, that unemployment claim, if they do find in her favor, does not follow your company. It follows their previous employer. So it's, I think it's either 30 or 29 days that it goes back to the
I will only
previous.
challenge that during COVID. We had a guy that came to
Yeah.
work for us for 30 days and worked about 12 of them, 10 of them, right? During the 30 days, 40 days he worked for us, he worked about 10 days. So he was having car issues, his car got stolen, then his wife got sick, baby went in the hospital, like it was all good reasons, but
Yeah.
just, it was not work, like we need to count on you to be here every day. And so, I mean, have a heart, but we have to get a job done too, right?
Right.
So anyway, I just said, you need to take a break. And a year later, COVID, like this is in 20, we get an unemployment request from, unemployment office, and he got it.
Oh,
Wow.
He got unemployment.
Wow.
From the year after he worked for us for 12 days. I was like, how is that? So COVID just, they just
Yeah.
didn't even look at it. They just let everybody
yeah,
Yep.
get unemployment.
I,
was
you're
the
totally
craziest-
correct on that,
I
yeah.
was like, it wasn't even in the same calendar year that he worked 10 days for us.
I
And he
know,
got
it's
it.
nuts.
And he came out of the military, so it didn't go back to the military. It came out of office.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just like, what in the world?
oh,
But hopefully that's
yes.
mellowed out
It's
since
done.
COVID.
It's
Yeah,
done.
They're probably more better.
But I do know that, well, I do have a contact at the VEC, and I tell you what, I can email him any time of day and he will get back to me, but trying to call them directly up in Richmond, it's difficult.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, an employee came to us with a harassment complaint, but they said they didn't want us to do anything. Do we have to investigate?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't want to give you another one. All right, who else? Here, Kelly, we'll give that to you. I gotta get rid of my money. So yes, you should investigate even if they don't want you to. And by not investigating, you could expose yourself to a legal risk. The employee could go file a complaint with either the state or the federal government. More employees can come forward, or, if that person still tries to harass that other employee. So you definitely want to investigate. You want to let that employee know that, you want to have a safe workplace. I think that's real important. And then you should document everything just to make sure, and you want to tell both sides what's happening. You don't have to tell, if I was being harassed, you don't have to tell me what the disciplinary action is, but you should tell that employee that there is some action being done. So,
Any idea what that action should be? Like if it's a salary employee,
Yeah.
like, what do you say, I'm gonna cut your pay, or you're dismissed for a week without pay, or?
Bye, Felicia.
yeah, I don't know, well, I want to go on this
Is that
website
illegal?
after we stop talking and we'll see
Like
if,
the work state.
yeah. Yeah. Well, there was a couple steps in a harassment investigation that I had one of these flyers from. So it said, first select your interviewer. It's kind of tough for a small business, because they say that you would want to get an impartial manager. Well, maybe for Lori, you're the manager, so it's gonna fall on you. But if you've got, a company officer or an HR person, you want to have that person who's unbiased be the one that does the investigation and does the interview. It should be conducted and closed within 3 days. I had no idea on that. But I thought that was pretty interesting that, and you definitely don't want something to expand and go out too long. Speak with the employee who has made the complaint. It's important to not promise any particular outcome. And then once the investigation interviews are complete, document your conclusions, which is so important. Document everything. And you want to put a summary of the findings placed in the accused employee's file. So you want to put something in there. And inform both the accused employee and the accuser about the conclusions of the investigation. So, kind of stuff that I think we all know anyway, but it's just kind of, okay, what's the procedure of how we do it?
Refresh.
Yeah. We receive a lot of time off requests around the holidays. You know, some we can approve, some we can't. What do you think you need to do on that instance? Are there any requirements or, you know, can you approve some people and not others?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so they recommend having a time off policy that explains how employees get paid or can request time off. And it could be that, you know, it's first come, first serve. Or you know, there could be a couple different ways, depending on, like my staff, they can't take time off at Christmas time. We're just extremely busy, it's year end, W-2s, so everybody in the company knows that from December, probably till the middle of February, there really is no time off, because it's just too busy.
Summertime.
Summertime.
Us. AC work.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that should be something that you should have in your handbook, of specific times that, you know, people really can't request time off.
Yeah, we
Just-
have, in our handbook, you can't request a Monday off, because it's after the weekend, we're
Ah.
IT company, we're busy,
Yeah.
no one can have off a Monday.
See, and that's good,
That's
that's
in
good
the
to have
handbook.
that documented in the handbook so that, you know, people know, yeah. And then the last thing was talking about, smartwatches. You know, we've noticed employees wearing wearable devices while working. We have a policy that limits cell phone, can we expand that to include wearable smartwatches? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, it says that you wanna focus on the policy, not the employee's action. Who didn't get one? I'm hoping somebody gets some money. But yeah, so you wanna also allow employees to use it during their break or meal. You know, you don't wanna totally restrict people from their cell phone usage, like you can't ever bring it in the office, anything like that. But I know with our staff, they are not supposed to be on their cell phone. They can have their cell phone at their desk, but they're not supposed to be on their cell phone. Our phones ring off the hook all day long, you know, so we've got to have somebody that picks up the phone when that phone rings.
We have, we own everybody's phone, and
Oh.
they're free to take their number whenever they want, but we don't allow them to be on TikTok at all. So there's certain things they just
Right.
cannot do with the phone.
Yeah,
And that's one of the reasons we own the phone, so we can say, you can't have TikTok.
right. And a lot of companies with like electronic timekeeping now, they want the GPS on their phone, especially if they travel back and forth. If it's not if it's the employee's phone, so if it's my phone, I can turn the GPS on or off. You can't make me do it. But
Right,
if it's your phone, then yes, you can require them to keep that GPS tracker on,
right.
so. But I figured I'd just pull up this website and maybe you guys can ask some questions and we can see what the answers are. I just, you know, something instead of me just telling you about payroll. I don't know that I need to even do that. But does anybody have any questions that maybe they would like to ask?
Do y'all charge per paycheck, per person, per how much you do on an employee every month? How do payroll companies in general charge for payroll?
Most companies, and in fact, everyone that I know has a base fee and then they have a per employee fee.
And then is that fee for the whole year, or do they
It's
get charged extra
each
for
payroll.
W-2s, or?
Yes, you'll get charged for W-2s and maybe the quarterly returns, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's based on how many people you pay. I know for my company, some companies will charge you, if you have 50 employees and you only pay 20, you pay for 50 all the time. But for me, for payday, if you have 50 employees and you pay 20, you only get billed for 20. And payroll companies, it's always more expensive the fewer people you have because of the base fee. So when you get up to 50 or 100 employees, it's so inexpensive. You know, if you have one employee, sometimes it seems weighted higher or something, you know. But does anybody have any questions for me? I mean, it's kind of basic. If you're interested in looking at payday service, we run the gamut of payroll, timekeeping, HR, we have expense tracking, performance reviews, electronic onboarding. I mean, just full gamut of services that some of the larger companies have. But we answer the phone when you call, which is important, I think, nowadays.
And you're in all 50 states?
We're in all 50 states.
Are you based here?
We're based here. We actually, so we've been around since 1985. Payday was founded by Andy Klein, and his youngest son out of 5 boys is our company president, which is awesome. And I can just walk down the hall and there's Danny, and I can ask him any question I want. His oldest brother runs our pack out, so if you have checks that are delivered, he's in charge of doing that. And then they're the only 2 boys that are in the company. But yeah, it's family business. We've got,
Say it's paper compared to electronic, direct deposit compared to paper, what would you say you do?
you mean percentage wise?
Yes.
I'd say probably maybe 80% now have direct deposit. Yeah, it's,
That's it? I always thought it was higher than that.
I mean, it could be. I'm just throwing out that number. I have no idea. I really don't
She
know.
was making an educated
I know,
guess.
I'm making it, but I do know that we used to print checks in Florida, and we used to print checks in our New Jersey office, and everything now comes out of our beach office. So it must have really changed a lot. I think COVID definitely made a big difference, and so many people are working remote now that, you know, businesses want to push everybody to direct deposit. I do know that you cannot make somebody have direct deposit, even though some businesses will say this is our policy that you have to have direct deposit. But there are pay card companies out there. I actually know one, so if anybody needs that, I'm happy to share you their name. You got some stress going on over there?
You just messing with me.
I am one of your squeezy things. I don't get stressed out, so I don't ever use it, but I really don't.
I like to throw them at people, but
Oh, that works.
I'm now in
That
an
works.
office by myself, so I guess I can't do that anymore.
Oh, they blocked you. They kept you away from
I'm like, she
everybody.
throws things.
I'm sorry, what was your other question? So we're in all 50 states.
And you're based here, and then the paper, and you answered that.
Yep,
You said
yep.
80%.
And we also have full benefits in-house too, which is really nice. So we have benefit brokers that work in our beach office, and it's all integrated with payroll. So an employee makes a change, somebody has a baby, they change their insurance on the benefits platform, it flows directly to payroll. So it really, our whole goal is to try to eliminate a bunch of extra work for the people that are doing payroll. You know, I've got a small company called Stretch Lab. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it. It is the best thing ever. I love it. But he,
They just, yeah, is that a franchise?
Yeah.
It's local now?
yep, yep.
I hadn't heard about that.
It's good, I tell you. I've been going for about a year. I went when Matt first set up with Payday, just because I wanted to try it. And I used to have not carpal tunnel, but I had tendonitis, and it was so painful. I have no pain anymore. I can't think of anything else that I've done that has gotten rid of the pain in my hands. It's bizarre.
Except maybe drinking with your next door neighbor.
Well, maybe. Yeah, but I'm not drinking now and I have no pain. So, yeah, I actually have a bar in my backyard, which is really kind of scary. So, it's a fully stocked bar too. Anybody want to come visit, you're welcome. Yes, so Stretch Lab, off on a tangent again, he's got multiple rates of pay, and he pays his people differently based on the different stretching, I don't really know.
Technique.
But he's got different stuff that he has to pay. We're gonna create an import file from his current, Flex timekeeping system and import it right into payroll, so he doesn't have to manually key anything. So we create imports, exports all the time. IT on staff in my office here in Virginia Beach that are amazing, so. But I don't know, does anybody have any kind of HR-ish type questions? Yes.
I have a question from the IT room, actually. He's wondering, could y'all help with policies and procedures for employee and HR-related issue, or templates for them?
Yes. So this platform right here, so we have Payday has two different HR systems. We've got this where we have HR on demand, that's the company based in California. And then we have an internal HR department where it's very, very hands-on. Elva is based in Texas, but she's got a whole staff of employees that work with our clients. Typically, our larger clients will use her because it's a lot more hands-on and it is a lot more expensive. But this platform is extremely inexpensive, and if you've got a question, you just go here, you can ask a pro, you can call the phone number, and then they will create custom handbooks for you. So they'll do a custom handbook based on whatever state you're in, they'll put together all the, federal and state laws, and then you can put in what other additional things that you want. And if it's something that maybe is not legal, they'll advise you to say, nope, you really can't put that in your handbook.
And you're telling me this now after I did
After you just did a
3
handbook?
months to get ready for the handbook?
Oh, I'm sorry. But, well, you have to use us for payroll. This is
That
part
makes
of
sense.
our system, yeah. They don't, this company doesn't even sell to anybody outside except for payroll companies.
Yeah, does TST, do you guys have handbooks,
Mhm.
employee handbooks?
Yeah, we just redid one last year, 2022, big overhaul. At this point, we're in too many states, and so you have, it expanded a lot, so you could get all the different leaves and bylaws and da-da-da-da-da for every little place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a big project for our HR manager, for sure.
yeah. Yeah, there's so much involved. I mean, every state is different,
Mm-hmm.
I just went in here and just clicked on just law finders and then pulled Virginia, and it just, breaks and rest periods. And then it just tells you, what's required. So it's pretty cool, really easy to maneuver around here.
Is there anything, about smokers, like here, you get an hour break at lunch, so you can take 15 minutes and 15 minutes and then a 30-minute lunch, if you wanna break it up that way. Is there, I used to work, like 30 years ago, I worked for HSN, and, those of us who didn't smoke and those of us who did smoke, we literally were like across from each other like this. And when they would all get up to go take a smoke break at the same time, we would all back up from our chairs and just sit and wait for them to come back. So no one answered
was
the
working.
phones while they were on their smoke break. And it became like a really big company problem because other departments started watching our department do it, and they started doing it too. So like we had whole 20-minute periods where like no one in the whole company on the whole second floor would answer the telephone when it was ringing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it became a big issue.
I'm sure it's something that you would put in your handbook, about smoking and breaks. I don't really know the answer, but they do have a whole section here on smoking. And then there's, safety manual, wellness program that goes back in here, and it has different laws. So it doesn't look like Virginia has anything, but Maryland prohibits smoking in indoor workplaces with limited exceptions, such as tobacco stores. So, certain things, if you have employees in certain states, that would tell you, what their requirements are, if there are any.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything else. I don't want to keep everybody unless anybody has any questions.
I
Yes.
have another question from the IT room. Sorry, they're listening to you in there. Do y'all offer HR-related legal if an employer is sued?
No.
Okay.
No, that's where you talk with Owen. Yeah, we're not a law firm. We're gonna advise people, or our HR part will advise people on, different laws and things like that. But yeah, you probably, just like everywhere, they always put that clause at the bottom, please seek legal advice with any of these HR type questions,
And I can actually answer that question for you. So if the company has Legal Shield as an employee benefit, those employees that have the benefit through the company cannot use Legal Shield against the company.
Oh,
Oh, that's good.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So, whenever I run into somebody who has Legal Shield or any other legal plan, because there are other companies that do similar, I would, even if they had Legal Shield, I would tell them your best, you probably want to get it outside of the company. That way, if something does happen, you can actually use it then against the employer because you don't have it as an employee benefit.
So I need to sign all my employees up for that, don't I?
Well, I have mine on my own, so then that would be different, not government.
Right.
Yeah, I hear her. For those of you who don't know, her dad is an owner, so,
So there's,
you know.
that
Ah,
would probably cost me.
you're kind of stuck.
Yeah. Okay, any final questions
No, I
for
don't.
Chris?
Well, I put my card in there if you guys have any other general questions, or if anybody wants me to sign you up for, this, these little question flyers that come out. They're pretty interesting. I'm happy to do that.
Do we have to use Payday in order to ask any questions on there?
Yes. Yeah, you would need, this is tied in with Payday. They use payroll companies all over the US. They don't have a separate, I've already called about that. Because sometimes people don't need to use us, but they want some of the HR stuff. Yeah. I know, and there's very few HR specialists out there nowadays.
So next time,
In the learning, is that
you
like
know, as we get the number bigger.
It's a whole learning system, LMS, yeah. Yeah, it's got probably 200 or 300 different, webinars that you can push out to the employees, and they can watch them and sign all the forms and all of that.
That's a very good
So I'll
one.
just text you.
I appreciate it.
All right, I'm turning me off.
Okay,
How do you do that?
there's a button on the side, just hold it for a second.